Hey, fucksticks. What's happening? Ever since that gravity video about how a 12-pound bowling ball cannot be pulled through water by gravity, but a 14-pound ball drops like a rock, the baller zealots have been regurgitating and parroting what they were taught in school again about gravity and buoyancy and not understanding up or down unless there's a force at play. I get that. I'll do the up or down thing a little later. But again, it's brought me back to the idea of motion and perceived motion. And I'm going to give a shout out to a show that can explain how easily ballers have been fooled. The show Brain Games. Netflix, it's on History Channel, I think. But season 2, episodes 3 and episodes 5 go into the science behind how our eyes and brain can be easily fooled through years of study on knowing how it works. And a couple terms that come into play that fools ballers into believing that we're moving at 1,000, 67,000 around the sun, etc., etc. How it's easily done. And they started again with the indoctrination as children. They know even as adults, our brain have a thing that's called the expert fallacy, where we have a default setting to trust experts, authority. Even as adults, if a guy's dressed up in a police outfit, we're probably going to believe he's a policeman and semi-trust him by a default setting. Advertisers and marketers in a $500 billion industry understand how to manipulate our mind. So there's a thing, it's scientifically labeled expert fallacy that affects our brain. Goes right past the conscious to the subconscious. There's another scientific term that affects the brain called priming. And priming is using subtle clues to bypass your consciousness to go straight to your subconscious. So our brain looks for shortcuts to use, and that's a known fact. So when you have this priming, it affects the prefrontal cortex, and it skips that to go right to the subconscious. So priming, expert fallacy, the power of persuasion. Scientists and experts know, manipulators know how persuasion can affect the mind. If you watch these episodes of Brain Game, you will see how two people seeing the same image of dots that look like they're either bouncing off each other or crossing. But with headphones on, one person hears nothing. They just see this. The other person with headphones on hears like cue balls hitting, click, and so they think they're bouncing off each other, but they're not. They're going straight through. And you could see people argue over what they saw strictly because of what they heard. So the power of persuasion, priming, the expert fallacy. Then there's another term called vection. And vection, I have to read it, is the perception of self-motion induced by visual stimuli. Perception of self-motion induced by visual stimuli, meaning the body will feel as if it's in motion when it's not. And the example they use is if you're sitting on a train and there's two trains and you're looking out the window expecting your train to get started, but the one next to you slowly starts to move instead of you perceive yourself moving. So from the time we're children, priming about Earth's movement and things moving all around us while we're moving. Through the expert fallacy, with the power of persuasion. Vection, where we can be easily fooled into thinking we're moving. There's a thing called Kinetic Images, where just the changing of light or shading on images makes us think there's movement. Again, it's about survival, so we're always looking around for movement. So the peripheral vision, there's a sharp central vision that when we focus on things, scientists know that our peripheral vision is working on things too while we're here. And they talk about baseball players' perception on fastballs moving at them, how much time they have to perceive that. So look into yourself. Vection, Kinetic Images, Orienting Response is another thing where our body sees anything moving, we're compelled to look. This is understood by scientists. We're hardwired to see motion, okay? But we've been primed by our expert people. So between priming, persuasion, the expert fallacy, our brain with Vection has been confused. Also, we're primed to go along with the herd because that's how you survive, by going along with what everyone else is doing. So through survival, following the herd, priming, the expert fallacy, persuasion, Vection, Kinetic Images, our handlers know that we're easily fooled with our eyes and our ears. So again, there is no gravity. We are not spinning at 1,000. We're not spinning 67,000 miles an hour around the sun and feel nothing. We've been lied to. Look up these definitions, ballers. Don't come yelling at me. You do the research into Kinetic Images, Vection, the Power of Persuasion, the expert fallacy, Orienting Response, how we're hardwired, priming. All these scientific understandings of how we can be manipulated and perceived has been put forth onto us since we've been children. But you're going to tell me I'm clueless and don't know what up and down is because I don't have a force pulling to the center of a spinning ball. You're the fools. No force, no gravity, 12-pound bowling ball in water proves it. No force pushing on anything. There's no such thing as gravity. Flat lines matter, not you, bitch. Peace out.